Gangster extraordinaire Ray Sharkey coming up right after this message.
If you go to a shore in the Caribbean or even here, and you see a sign that says shark sightings, no recreational swimming. You see surfers out there. You see people swimming out there. They go in the water and come out. Nothing might not happen. But then they go in that water and a shark will get them, and that's the end of that. So those waters that these people are swimming in are shark infested in the motion picture industry, in the television industry, and in the recording industry. Those waters are shark infested. You take a chance to go in there, you might come out unscathed, you might not come out.
I want you to pick it up and put it in your mouth.
What?
Pick it up. Put it in your mouth. Cock the hammer. Come on, baby. If you love me, and pull the trigger. Good. That's a girl. That's it, good. Good girl. Good girl. Good. Lucy, baby. Lucy, I'm so sorry, baby. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, mommy. I love you. I love you. They want me to leave you. I can't do without you, baby. I need you. I need you, baby. I need you. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be you and me, babe. I swear to God. You and me against all of them. Against Max, against Vito, against Nick, against all of them. Fuck them. Fuck them all.
On June 11th, 1993, the messy, often disturbing, and occasionally brilliant life of Raymond Salvatore Sharkey Jr. came to an unceremonious end in the same unceremonious neighborhood in Brooklyn where it had begun 40 years earlier. Hollywood's original king of mafia-coded glamour, George Raft.
You do a toot or whatever it is you do, or you take a drink and, kicks in and you feel great.
And much like fellow Movieland cautionary tale Corey Haim, Ray's presence almost invariably elevated even the least dignified of projects he appeared in.
Hey, sweetheart. Remember me? You do?
Ironically, his biggest strengths on screen came from the same hardscrabble upbringing that instilled in him a sense of inadequacy among his Hollywood peers and ultimately drove his self-destructiveness. From early on, survival to Ray meant to mask insecurities with the posturing of confidence. Always put on a good front.
So, you could try to earn my respect, I'll try to earn yours. In the interim, we can still cooperate and catch a murderer.
And his knack for stepping into the persona of slick and streetwise hustler served to his advantage in portraying world-weary outcasts and underdogs, both heroes and villains. His performances achieved a natural buyability few actors are able to, by periodically underscoring the hardened facade with a strategic vulnerability. Along the way, Ray Sharkey fought a continuous and, at points, inescapably public war with a crippling dependence on illicit substances, more often than not finding himself on the losing end of the battle.
I like to use the expression that I have been to hell and have kissed the devil's derriere and have made it back to heaven before he even noticed I was gone.
After surviving the unsympathetic Just Say No 80s with an IV heroin habit, at the time one of the least fashionable of drug problems, Ray emerged as one of the first celebrities willing to openly discuss his experiences with hard drug addiction and recovery in depth.
I'm in the trenches every week with people and
talking to drug addicts or recovering.
Wiping puke. Forget talking.
Sadly, however, it would come to be revealed that behind the scenes, his sobriety had been far more sporadic than he was letting on. For several years, Ray was able to keep his HIV diagnosis a secret, but the moment it became public knowledge, which by fate happened to coincide with yet another unrelated drug bust, his career was over, and within a year, Ray Sharkey would succumb to complications from AIDS. The news that he had willingly exposed upwards of 200 women to HIV without their knowledge overshadowed much of any public outpouring of sympathy upon the news of his passing. In this video, we're going to unpack the story of this uniquely colorful anti-hero from the margins of Hollywood history. We'll look at his pioneering efforts to rebrand himself as the face of recovery and how it all eventually unraveled. Forget about separating the art from the artist.
Forget about it. Forget about it. Forget about it. Forget about it. Forget about it.
Ray Sharkey became a fan favorite, fleshing out the bad boy characters he played by blazing through his time on Earth, burning the candle at both ends and paying the ultimate price. This is his story.
Back in New York, man, this is it. I gotta tell you, this is the greatest fucking city in the whole world!
Let me tell you something. New York is the greatest fucking city in the world.
Raymond Salvatore Sharkey Jr. was born November 14th, 1952, his father's 25th birthday. Very little is known about Ray Sharkey Sr. Press bios identify his occupation as drummer, but there's no available record of his involvement in professional entertainment, beyond a skit in a neighborhood play in 1951. According to childhood friend Vincent Coppola, he worked as a doorman before abandoning his wife and 5-year-old son in 1957. Ray Sr. remained largely absent from their lives until his death in 1983.
In Brooklyn live peoples from the far corners of the earth, living side by side without prejudices or hate. For in Brooklyn, the brotherhood of man is a reality instead of a myth.
What was your childhood like? Was it tough?
Yeah, pretty tough. I grew up in Brooklyn, in South Brooklyn, Red Hook, and well, I mean, now that I look back on it, I guess it was tough. I wouldn't want my kid to do that. Sometimes I think that, meaning I wouldn't want him fighting all day and night in the streets and stuff like that. But
Were you fighting all day and night?
Oh yeah.
So this stuff
it was fun.
Discussing his upbringing in the Red Hook neighborhood of Brooklyn, Ray Jr. commented,
"When I was with my Irish relatives, we lived right with the blacks, so I had good friends who were black. But when I lived with my Italian grandparents in an Italian section, the guys there would say, hey, come on, let's go beat up some n***s. But I knew the blacks and I liked them, so I wouldn't go. Though there were other guys I wouldn't mind fighting."
But he also caught the acting bug at a young age. He later cited Jack Lemmon's performance in 1962's Days of Wine and Roses as an early inspiration, as well as Marcello Mastroianno's work with Federico Fellini. He began developing a repertoire of characters he could step into as he fell in with the street gang lifestyle, where violence and vice were everyday facts of life.
Every day you wake up in the morning, you're like, you put that face on, you put your street face on, your street hair, your street clothes, and you go out there and you act to survive.
As a juvenile delinquent and gang member growing up on the streets of Brooklyn, Ray Sharkey created characters to stay alive.
And, I mean, without getting heavy, that was what I learned in the neighborhood, was how to not look at myself.
Since you brought the subject up, it's no secret that you've had your run-in with drugs, huh?
Yep.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, growing up in Brooklyn and growing up in the streets, I had my encounters with hard drugs and, you know, grew up into it. It was sort of like a lifestyle, you know, growing up in the 60s and stuff like that.
We found that if you ask any child in this age range, do you know other children who are using drugs? The answer is usually yes. This was not true several years ago. The change has been sudden, swift, and dramatic. Now there are a host of attitudes, points of view, and information that we're all exposed to on this subject. Some confuses us, some allows us to become complacent, some disturbs us, some is illuminating. School children hear them all and must make decisions.
As a teenager during the Summer of Love and ensuing Flower Power movement, Ray was encouraged to experiment freely with mind-expanding substances.
We have found here in our area that one of the most effective approaches to young people is to chat with them about what kind of a person are we when The only way we can get kicks, and the only way we can have a meaningful party, the only way we can get pressures off our backs, and the only way we can cope with situations is through a chemical, then we're not really much of a person.
He quickly grew a taste for harder drugs like cocaine, amphetamines, and heroin, but lacked the means to use them habitually. Ray had finished a year at New York City Community College when he attended a performance of Hair that changed his life.
One day as a teenager, you saw the musical Hair.
Mm-hmm.
It changed your life, didn't it?
It did. Actually, when I went to the theater to see it, I was sitting there and I was mesmerized. All these beautiful people, they were healthy and they were
naked.
Some of them, but it was, they were swinging from the rafters. They were having a ball, and I thought, again, like the Idolmaker, I can do that. I can do that, and they're getting paid for it. And what attracted me more than anything was this sense of family. They were like a company, and so a week later, I went and enrolled in an acting school down in Greenwich Village and stayed there for 4 years.
He dropped out after successfully auditioning for Herbert Berghoff's renowned Greenwich Village acting studio, where he studied under Uta Hagen.
When I go to the theater, if I can see the acting, I already don't like it. In other words, if it's the performer and his mind and his speculations and what he fixes and arranges is visible to me, it's bad acting, in my opinion. When I believe that there's a human being in action up there, in that moment, alive, right there and then, I get spellbound.
Why did they think you had potential when they saw you? Or did they? Did they say, hey, buddy, hit the road?
No, they gave me a scholarship.
Well, I'd say that's
and
potential.
I stayed there, for 4 years. What it did for me, which was great, how it got me out of the neighborhood. You asked me a question before, how I did that. It opened up a whole new world for me, and it was the world of literature. And it gave me a chance to escape in my mind by reading other people's material. And that was what I was taught at the studio, which was, this is how you get out. This is how it works. And I got that real young. And I think it was a saving grace for me.
After some off-Broadway work, Ray convinced one of his classmates to go in with him on a leap of faith. Edwin Choo Choo Malave started his run as a welterweight prizefighter in 1970 under the nickname the Maud Bomber. By 1973, his prospects as a pugilist were looking dim, so he agreed to try his luck on Hollywood along with Ray. The two headed west in Ray's Porsche 356 that, according to Vincent Coppola, was
maybe one of the sports cars Anthony Lips stole and swapped VIN numbers from Rex Rusting in Stuckey's Staten Island salvage yard.
Ray managed to land his first screen credit the following year with a bit part in Lords of Flatbush, a coming-of-age dramedy centered fittingly around a pack of Brooklynite juvenile delinquents that starred Sylvester Stallone and Henry Winkler in a dry run for his signature character Arthur Fonz Fonzarelli on ABC's Happy Days.
Get out of my way! I swear I'm gonna kill everybody in this damn place if I don't get out of here!
Boy, do I hate to start a day like this.
You don't understand what I do. Like the nurse says, Pops. Come on, sit down, man.
For the next few years, Ray picked up steady work in television, doing guest spots on crime shows like Kojak and the Streets of San Francisco, as well as sitcoms like All in the Family, Barney Miller, and The Jeffersons.
What did you do?
I held up a candy store.
I have candy at my place. Shit off.
His first film work to garner some recognition came in 1978 with a supporting role in Who'll Stop the Rain, a crime drama about Vietnam War veterans turned heroin smugglers that starred Tuesday Weld and future Tinseltown train wreck Nick Nolte.
It's me.
That same year, Sylvester Stallone cast Ray in a bit part for his directorial debut, the sports drama Paradise Alley. Then, for Ray Sharkey, 1980 would begin with a whisper and finish with a roar. He teamed up again with Nick Nolte for the Jack Kerouac biopic Heartbeat. In it, Nick plays cowboy Neil Cassidy, the larger-than-life figure and proto-influencer whose mythos bridged the beats of the 50s with the hippies of the 60s.
And out of the Beat generation, eventually, to throw in some politics and a couple of drugs the Beats hadn't heard about, you get the hippies. So it was a very important time. And I think a lot of people, myself included, are going to go to this movie and expect something more about the adventures that Neil and Jack had on the road.
And that's what's important about these men, not the fact that their deaths were kind of tragic and horrible in a sense.
Drug-related.
Yeah, Neil's was drug-related, Jack's was alcoholism. But that's their own personal, you know, abuse and problems. But that alcoholism is not why Jack wrote On the Road, you know, you see, and that's what we're talking about, we're talking about the positive elements that these individuals created.
There was a dark side to the free living that they did. If you fool around a lot and have a good time, you may be hurting somebody else.
On its own terms, though, I'm not sure that it's totally successful. It's very downbeat, it's very passive.
I think this is a movie to praise, to encourage people to go to, because the values of the film are so good.
It's a movie I can't really say succeeds, and yet I think people should really go to see it and see how, in my way of thinking, it's an interesting failure.
Okay.
Ray's character, Ira, was a stand-in for Allen Ginsberg, who threatened to sue if his name was used in the film. After this came Ray's first leading role. Willie and Phil was a dramedy about a throuple between photographer turned big-time movie director Phil, played by Ray, his best friend Willie, played by Michael Ontkian, and Margot Kidder of Superman fame.
I enjoyed Willie and Phil. I enjoyed its guided tour of the fads, the cults, the various alternative lifestyles of the last 15 years, while at the same time I was thinking that the movie is a little contrived. These people are not spontaneous. They almost seem to know that their lives are inspired by a screenplay.
I just thought that the film really didn't spend enough time aiming in on the nature of a three-way relationship, and instead, as you mentioned, drifts off into the 70s material, history of fads.
I think you're almost asking this film to be something that was never intended to be. I don't think it's intended to be psychological realism.
But he's using the real time, Greenwich Village, real places, real dates. We have a big disagreement.
I think that's permitted.
Okay.
Ray would later cite Willie and Phil as his personal favorite, but his next project would become his breakout role.
I want you to meet a gentleman that's been a friend of mine for a long time, and this man's name is Bob Marcucci. Have you met Bob?
Yes, I have. Hi, Bob. How are you?
My pleasure. He is the current resident. He is the manager of Frankie Avalon.
The main character in The Idolmaker was based on Bob Marcucci, the pop impresario who'd capitalize on Elvis Presley's conscription into the Army in 1958 alongside scandal-plagued first-wave rock and rollers Chuck Berry and Jerry Lee Lewis.
Negro performer Chuck Berry was sentenced today to 2 years in the Missouri State Penitentiary following his conviction of violating the Mann Act.
Trouble for American rock and roller Jerry Lee Lewis. Lewis raised the ire of fans when it became known that not only was his bride 14 and his cousin, but that he had forgotten to divorce his previous wife of 5 years.
By fabricating advertiser-friendly teen dream crooners like Fabian and Frankie Avalon to take their place.
You could be Tommy D. Tommy D. Who the hell's Tommy D?
For his portrayal of Marcucci, surrogate Vinnie Vaccaro, Ray won the Golden Globe for Best Actor in a Comedy or Musical. In an August 25th interview for the New York Times ahead of the release of The Idolmaker, Ray expressed his unease towards the prospect of fame.
All of a sudden, people want to know about me and hear what I have to say. All I wanted was the freedom of work, to have a good time. But this is hype, ego, stroke. All of the great actors' personal lives are just a mess. It scares me. Do I have to be insane to be a great actor? Filmmaking is such a personal thing. You put yourself into the character's state of mind, you have to wake up in the morning lonely and desolate. Some days, I woke up and I didn't know who I was. It was a scary feeling. You gotta figure, will I be insane?
The Idolmaker is a rags to riches story that works for two reasons, I think. First, because it has so much cynicism about the music business that it never takes its characters too seriously. The movie knows how shallow the top 40 scene is, even if these characters don't.
I have a problem with the film in the main character, the Idolmaker, played by Ray Sharkey. I think he plays this thing way too seriously, way overdoes it, has some dumb scenes with other people, love interest, romantic people. I think that he is some sort of imitation of Robert De Niro, and he ruined the movie for me, which otherwise could have been a lot of fun.
That's very funny that you say that, because I thought that Ray Sharkey's performance is really what made this movie more than it might have been otherwise. I mean, in addition to the music scene and what it has to say about that and the songs, what I found fascinating is how much of an obsession he was able to project. Those characters of his that he's created out there on the stage, that's him, that's his ego. He tells them how to dress, how to move, when he's going heel-toe, and standing backstage.
Of course.
That's good stuff.
You name your biggest black actors, you name your biggest white actors, you name your biggest female Latino actresses, they all have to do it. A blood oath. Now you bend over. Now every orifice that you have is going to be annihilated.
While the film itself and Ray's performance maker was considered a box office disappointment. In that same New York Times interview, Ray outlined his asset portfolio. A little shack on the beach in Venice, a white Mercedes, and a four-wheel drive pickup. Regardless, his career pace had picked up enough over the last 2 years that he was starting to see real Hollywood money. He remarked,
As a result of doing all these movies, I sort of lost me in the interim. So I'm going to take some time off and try to find myself instead of living these characters and destroying my personal life.
But while his goal may have been to take some time off to find himself, any good intentions wound up derailed by his pursuit of the once most expensive drugs of the day.
What's that?
Well, I can't say for sure till we run it through the lab, but from the look of it, I'd say you're holding some coke, lady.
Throughout the history of Hollywood, cocaine has always been the drug of the stars, and by 1980, its widespread availability and popularity alongside the advent of disco had resulted in a democratization of blow among the rank and file of film production. Debates over its perceived harmlessness and calls for legalization were still a part of the public discourse.
Cocaine is not a narcotic, and penalties for its sale and use should be relaxed. That was the unanimous decision of an Illinois appeals court.
The court ruling could mean modified or even vacated prison sentences for some people already convicted under state cocaine statutes. Law enforcement officials are angry tonight because they say cocaine is a $24 billion a year business. Smugglers are killing each other over it, and users will do almost anything to get it. Rhesus monkeys at the University of Chicago have shown just how seductive cocaine is. Injected with it when they pressed a button, they became so dependent they passed up food for cocaine. Some died of starvation.
We're going to see the day.
Ooh!
Ow! I think we're going to see the day when Richard Pryor writes, stars, and directs a movie.
Richard Pryor would never do nothing y'all want. Richard Pryor is a criminal. I come from criminal people. I will be a criminal. I didn't get caught yesterday buying 7 pounds of cocaine in front of 8 policemen.
One of the first celebrity instances of its potential risk made the news on June 11th, 1980, when it was reported that Richard Pryor had doused himself in 151 proof rum and lit himself on fire after freebasing cocaine. Pryor suffered extensive burns to his face and body, but mitigated the professional damage by making a bit out of the incident 2 years later for his Grammy-winning stand-up special, Live on the Sunset Strip.
All the people you ever heard of freebasing, have you ever heard of anybody blowing up?
Authorities tonight in Los Angeles are saying that John Belushi apparently died of natural causes. The 33-year-old actor-comedian was found dead this afternoon by personnel of the Hollywood hotel where he was staying.
John Belushi's body was found shortly after noon today in bed at his rented Hollywood Hills hotel bungalow. He was in Los Angeles working on a movie at the time of his death. According to the Beverly Hills Fire Department, they were called to the Chateau Marmont, where Belushi was reported unconscious and choking. Concern arose when Belushi didn't answer his phone this morning. 2 people went to his room and then tried to resuscitate him. One was hotel employee Bruce Beckler.
We found him and we tried to work on him, you know, but there was no hope because he was just too flimmed up.
Well, Don, the professional tragedy of Belushi's death is that he was really trying to turn a corner in his artistic life as a comedian.
John, you look like hell. When was the last time you slept?
What'd they say about my script?
John, we all think Noble Rot needs some work.
What? They don't know anything about comedy. That character is me. I can make it work. It'll be funny. Those idiots. I'll call them and find out what's going on. Oh, to hell with it. I want my money. I want to get out of here.
The rejection of Noble Rot affected Belushi much harder than anyone realized. Ultimately, it would lead to Belushi's death.
Calm down, do another line.
No, I'm sick of coke. Where's your friend?
She'll be here. Just relax.
Police say tonight there does not appear to be any foul play. An unidentified woman who was apparently the last person with Belushi before he became ill was questioned by police.
I want to mix of heroin and coke.
And just speedballs, aren't you?
Nah. I hate needles. You do it.
Because Belushi had a fear of needles, he was afraid of injecting himself. So Smith accommodated him, injecting Belushi at least a dozen more times. Among the friends he partied with that night were actors Robert De Niro and Robin Williams. The rumor was that they both returned with Belushi to the Chateau Marmont, but this was never proven.
It's cold in here. Turn the heat up.
You get any more of that stuff? Use what's on the table. Mix it with heroin.
At noon, Belushi was found in the bungalow, laying face down on the bedroom floor, dead.
Belushi's death was attributed to an acute heroin and cocaine intoxication.
The death of John Belushi on March 5th, 1982, would come to be co-opted by the Just Say No campaign alongside the 1986 death of hoopster Len Bias, as famous examples of the deadly dangers of nose candy.
Remember Len Bias, the basketball star? Had everything, including cocaine.
But while Bias's death was determined to be cardiac arrhythmia brought on by overuse, Belushi had been a heavy user for years and had in truth succumbed to an overdose of heroin. Because Belushi was a widely beloved comedian when he died at 33, and because heroin had never been fashionable in the mainstream, his well-documented cocaine use was leaned into as a means of smoothing over the narrative around his sudden passing. Watergate's Bob Woodward amplified this misperception by ignorantly conflating the two drugs and Belushi's relationships to each in his ham-fisted 1984 expose, Wired, The Short Life and Fast Times of John Belushi.
And it deals with the reality of drug abuse and the reality of excess. And they don't like that. They'd rather it be buried and covered up.
In Bob Woodward's book, Wired, an investigation of Belushi's death, Woodward wrote, "He used to make us laugh. Now he can make us think."
Heroin is not the reason. It's just a reaction. When you become uncomfortable with yourself, you start to romance the devil. You fall in love with the behavior. It's the ultimate kick in the butt back to society. It's a conditioned response to not dealing with life. I was lazy, rebellious, and still fighting. I didn't want the responsibility that came along with stardom, of being a Model A citizen, a person that others look up to.
Your guardian angel, Ray, I guess, wasn't having a whole lot of success between 1981 and 87 when you turned to drugs.
Right.
Heroin.
Hard drugs, heroin, cocaine, which was readily available, which that was very scary.
It's hard for me to understand, you did The Idolmaker, so the movie didn't do that well commercially, but you won a Golden Globe. You were a hot commodity, and yet you sort of threw it all away.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, yeah, I did make a conscious decision to throw it all away. I remember the morning I woke up and said, well, you've done it all. Now what do you want to do? Hey, I know what. Why don't you do that? Why don't you escape?
From New York, Saturday Night Live is live again. Saturday Night Live, the next generation's premieres Saturday, November 15th.
In November 1980, the sixth season of NBC's cocaine comedy showcase Saturday Night Live kicked off. The first season to feature an all-new cast and crew following creator Lorne Michaels' departure, SNL 80 was a spectacular train wreck from out the gate. On January 10th, 1981, Ray hosted the sixth episode of the cursed season.
When I got here, they said to me, the first thing I got to do is come out and, say a few words. I said, great, hey, a monologue. I always wanted to do a monologue,
After fidgeting and fumbling for 2 minutes, Ray wound up cutting his monologue short, and from there the episode only goes downhill, with sketches like White Baby Salesman, Wasp Interpreter, and Jimmy Carter at the Bar falling uncomfortably flat with the studio audience.
So a little later on, I'm gonna tell some jokes and stuff, and I may need a little help from the audience out there, and you guys are my friends, right?
Understandably disheartened with the show's dismal performance, Ray decided not to follow through with the stand-up routine he'd prepared.
And about those jokes, you know what? I'm not supposed to do this, but I'm gonna do it. Forget about the jokes.
To fill for time,
How you doing? I'm Eddie Murphy. Anybody in the audience?
a cast extra named Eddie Murphy improvised a set that would propel him to stardom virtually overnight, as well as single-handedly claw SNL back from the brink of extinction.
I'd like to know who the fuck did it.
2 weeks later, Ray broke from showbiz convention by airing his grievances with his studio directly in the press, an astonishingly unprofessional decision for a working actor, but perfectly in line with the grandiose sense of self excessive cocaine use tends to foster. Bemoaning what he saw as the unjust commercial failures of The Idol Maker, as well as Heartbeat and Willie and Phil, he trashed United Artists for not promoting the films sufficiently.
Our movie and Raging Bull are the only two UA releases to get any kind of critical acclaim lately. I think UA should be kinder to us. After all, we got ours in on time without spending $36 million.
Taking a swipe at the epic fail that would come to be United Artists' downfall, Heaven's Gate. Then on Mother's Day, May 10th, Ray married a model named Rebecca Wood after a whirlwind courtship. At the time, Ray was set to appear in 2 upcoming projects: the Richard Pryor dramedy Some Kind of Hero, and a TV movie for CBS called The Ordeal of Bill Carney that called for him to play a quadriplegic. Ray reportedly spent their honeymoon in a wheelchair in order to acclimate himself to the role of Bill Carney. However, on July 5th, days before filming was to begin on Some Kind of Hero, police were called to the house in Venice after Ray had become physically abusive towards Rebecca, at one point threatening her with a knife. When they arrived, police found 2.5 grams of what was presumed to be cocaine and arrested him for assault with a deadly weapon. A few hours later, Rebecca posted his $1,500 bond and asked to have the charges dropped. After lab tests confirmed the confiscated substance to have been heroin, Ray was charged with felony narcotics possession. He was offered the option to enroll in a diversion program that would require him to participate in a treatment program in exchange for having the case against him dismissed. On August 27th, a bench warrant was issued for failure to appear at his follow-up hearing. Ray eventually managed to satisfy the court's requirements and have the charge dropped, but the negative publicity compounded the overall troubled production of Some Kind of Hero to the dismay of Paramount and producer Howard Koch.
Coming soon on CBS, the best in drama, action, comedy, and superstars. Tomorrow night, Bill Carney had the good life, a prosperous business, sons he loved more than anything else, and a woman who loved him. Then, tragically crippled, he lost his kids.
I promise. I'll get you back.
Based on a true story, Ray Sharkey is Bill Carney.
Meanwhile, CBS had slated The Ordeal of Bill Carney to air as part of their Christmas 1981 programming package. In a December 17th interview with Roderick Mann, Ray framed his drug scandal as the byproduct of over-immersing himself in his last 2 roles.
It was a long time until I could get Bill Carney out of my head, and playing a prisoner of war in Vietnam didn't help at all. So in every way, it was a spring and summer of depression. My wife and I were having an argument at home, and someone called the police. They searched me and my home. It was intensely humiliating. Thanks to my wife and friends, I've pulled through. Now I've put myself in a position where even if I wanted to slip back, I couldn't. I've put my cash where I couldn't possibly get at it. I've made my wife sort of a warden.
A January 21st interview tactfully summarized Ray's rapid decline as being
something of an emotional cripple for much of 1981. His emotional difficulties also spilled over into his marriage, Sharkey adds, but now he says he's seeing a psychiatrist and talking to kids about not taking drugs. Best of all, his marriage is back together.
Despite insisting at the time he was now clean, Ray admitted years later that he was filmed nodding out from heroin on set, and that producers threatened to fire him if he let it happen again. Ray managed to complete The Ordeal of Bill Carney, and his performance earned him a nomination for a second Golden Globe. But by now, his reputation within the industry was trashed. Multiple productions he'd signed on to dropped him for fear of his unreliability. When Vincent Coppola caught up with Ray in 1982 to interview him for Newsweek, Pauline Kael had recently christened him the next Jimmy Cagney. Now living in Malibu and wearing a stupid bandana to cover his thinning hair, he had recently started riding motorcycle with a pack that included Sly Stallone, Mickey Rourke, and Gary Busey. In a 2018 NBC interview, Busey talks about meeting his manager for the first time.
A fella who looked like a Beverly Hills cowboy showed up at my door. He told me he was going to be my manager, and he had a gift for me. It was a little blue box from Tiffany's, and in the box was a rock of cocaine as big as a 50-cent piece and thick with my initials on it. He said, take this, you'll be more creative.
There's a rock about that big.
You actually snorted cocaine off your dog?
Oh, yeah.
Ray presented as noticeably manic, delusional, and grandiose at this stage.
Where's your brother? These neighborhood guys, they got a stupid apartment, they got a car, they're fucking some girl on the side. That's all there is to life. Tell him to get out of here. I'll give him a job. He stays with me, no problem.
Ray's next leading role had been shot back around the same time as The Idolmaker, and finally made its way to the big screen on February 12th, 1982. In the corporate erotic suspense thriller Love and Money, Ray plays a bank employee falling for his boss's wife while the boss dispatches him to Costa Salva to broker a deal with their dictator, played by Armand Assante.
What happened? Hello? Hello?
The Catholic Advance derided the film as little more than an occasion to present some prolonged and extravagant sexual activity. Newsday, who gave the film 1.5 stars, gave modest praise to Ray for his
radiating nervous energy and self-absorption,
and blamed the film's failings on writer-producer James Toback's script. Toback, for his part, told Vanity Fair in March 2014 that he felt the problem was that Ray was the wrong actor. Some Kind of Hero premiered April 2nd, 1982, and its schizophrenic tone of serious social commentary, mixed in with broad comedy at Paramount's insistence, made for a jarring viewing experience audiences were happy to forget about altogether when the toy came out later that year. A July 9th, 1982 news item proclaimed,
"He's back. Ray Sharkey is ready to work again, completely recovered from his drug problem."
At the time, he was signed on to co-star in Ava Gardner's final film after Michael York had dropped out at the last minute. But landing the role was hardly a win for Ray when Regina Roma proved to be yet another forgettable flop upon its release. In the meantime, work had dried up altogether as he descended into the fringes Chico and the Man producer Alan Sachs managed to persuade ABC to greenlight a sitcom with a premise no one thought would work, a reboot of the 1955 juvenile delinquency fear porn melodrama Blackboard Jungle, but as a lighthearted primetime ensemble comedy.
Welcome back.
But thanks in large part to Sachs' discovery of a then unknown John Travolta, Welcome Back, Kotter was a ratings hit for its first 2 seasons. Travolta had made his film debut weeks before the premiere of Kotter, playing a satanic cult member in the mafia-backed The Devil's Reign. While on set, 21-year-old Travolta was introduced to a self-help book called Dianetics by L. Ron Hubbard, and joined the Church of Scientology soon after. The media immediately singled out Travolta out of the cast of Welcome Back, Kotter as Hollywood's next big thing, and the Church of Scientology would claim his swift and seamless rise to superstardom as their first unqualified celebrity success story. As John Travolta's star soared, Welcome Back, Kotter saw a sharp drop-off in viewership and was canceled in 1979 at the end of its 4th season. With enough episodes to package for syndication, Alan Sachs was financially set for the indefinite future, bored and about to turn 40. Sachs' midlife crisis ultimately evolved into divesting himself of his bourgeoisie Malibu property, taking a vow of semi-poverty and embarking on a coked-out yuppie vision quest through West Hollywood, the center point of LA's early 80s underground rock music scene, where the through line of the post-punk, new wave, and hardcore acts playing around the Sunset Strip was a hyperbolic glamorization of wanton hedonism. The more depraved, the better.
Genkel's toothpaste contains over a dozen household amphetamines along with a fast-acting pentothal 6 16, the drugs astronauts use. All this together in a tasty sirloin gluten-based speeds Gecko's protection right to where you need it. A straight shot that carries a pure chemical message of joy or sorrow direct to your head or heart. Genkos for folks who'll swallow anything.
The anti-materialism and watered-down punk ethos may have been performative and a shallow pretext to indulge in pleasure-seeking, but Sachs was a true believer and generous with party favors. At some point, Alan Sachs obtained a few unused reels of film from a scrap 1979 project that he saw as the foundation for a modern-day A Hard Day's Night set in the world of SoCal punk rock. What would eventually become Dubidio began life as We're All Crazy Now, a documentary about the all-girl pop-punk group The Runaways. As quickly as the deal was made, the band had already imploded, and in the spring 1979, the last remaining runaway, Joan Jett, fulfilled their minimal contract with Z Productions, shooting about an hour of footage with actresses standing in for the rest of the group. According to the band's manager, Toby Mamis, Artie Johnson and Peter Noon of Herman's Hermits were also attached to the project before it wound up shelved altogether. By 1984, Ray had fallen in with the gutter punk set while scoring dope and running from his own irrelevance. He was hired by Sachs to string together a meta plot by playing a mob-connected, drug-addled director, given 31 hours to assemble the 1979 footage into a finished film.
What kind of a name is Dubitio, anyway? Huh? And what kind of a man wears an earring? Ow!
And we don't care what it looks like, so don't give me any of that artsy-fartsy bullshit.
His first acting work in nearly 2 years, Ray's parts were filmed over 6 days in May 1984, along with those of Sachs' scenester heroes of the moment like Fear frontman Durf Scratch, Texan the Horseheads,
Hey, Ray Brock, rules,
and notorious shock rocker El Duce, who Sachs was certain would be the next John Travolta with the right breakout vehicle.
Listen to me.
Listen to me, please. Pull back the foreskin on my uncircumcised dick. Lick out the smegma cheese.
Ultimately, the frenetic, obtuse patchwork mess of Dubidio did little to put El Duce on the map. Body Rock was basically fame, but with breakdancing. Ray was brought on to play a Vinnie Vaccaro-type entertainment executive being courted by the movie's pop and lockin' protagonist, Lorenzo Lamas.
I mean, either we have a house band or some dancers, or we've got to spice things up. That's right. Okay. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.
What kind of club you opening, man?
Body Rock earned Lamas a Golden Raspberry nomination for Worst Actor that year.
There's no bullshit in my neighborhood.
Ultimately losing out to Sly Stallone in Rhinestone.
You ever sing in front of a live audience before, ever?
No, never.
I'd just been taking acting jobs to sort of pay for my habit, you know, and
I thought I would die. Are we talking about the same fellow? No! Oh, I see.
What if he comes back, that face, that voice?
And considering the fact that you, Grand Vizier, appear to be slightly unstable, and that you, dearest daughter, appear to be lost in a land of dreams, I hereby order that this wedding be cancelled.
What? What, Your Highness?
Oh, Father, I shall try to live with it.
While Ray continued to discover that beneath every rock bottom is another new low, his marriage would reach its tipping point in 1985, blowing through hundreds to thousands a day on drugs, while totaling one high-end sports car after another. Ray was actively working to orchestrate his own blaze of glory.
So I took it to the...
He took a quickie role in a cheapo sexploitation roughie called Hellhole for the money.
I want you to promise me that you won't mention Hellhole to anyone. Will you promise me that?
How are you?
Remarkably, though, Ray's portrayal of a chameleonic hoodlum named Silk, who infiltrates a psych hospital / sex torture experiment dungeon.
Hey, sweetheart. Remember me?
Manages to stand head and shoulders above the gimmicky violence and gratuitous full frontal nudity that otherwise saturates the film.
Save the compliments, William Monroe. You owe me one.
What'd you find out?
Found out I don't look good with short hair. And because of that, I'm going to charge you an extra $5,000.
Who's he? Where did he come from?
Oh, I'm the mud control inspector.
Oh, control me. Oh, I want to be ruled and controlled.
What's this you have here? Right? Holding out on me? Woo! God, it's the real thing, man. This is pure crystal meth. I mean, like, whoa! The white knight is here!
You're gonna waste a lot of money this way, smarty.
With debts continuing to pile up and Ray unable to bring in an income, Rebecca Wood Sharkey began to focus on her transition from model to actress.
Girl, you are so hot.
She made her first of 2 appearances on the new Mike Hammer the year before, and in 1985 landed roles on 2 major films, Mask and Friday the 13th, A New Beginning.
I like this.
Jealous over the relative success and attention his wife was gaining, Ray responded with more and more abuse and infidelity. By the end of 1985, the couple had separated and their divorce would be finalized the following year.
Hey, Marco, what are you waiting for, a bus or what?
Huh? I didn't do that. Not.
But things first began to turn around for Ray in early 1986, when he managed to land his first work on a major studio production in years. MGM was continuing in the vein of 20th Century Fox's mafia-themed comedic romps Johnny Dangerously and Prizzi's Honor. Now, of course, humor is subjective and comedy often has a way of aging poorly.
Hey, I know you. You're from Saturday Night Live. You're Joe Pitt.
Who writes this stuff? You know, me rapping, huh? You and me rapping? See? You think the white guy could rap? Oh, there it is. Come on, baby. The white guy raps. Kids, don't try this at home, all right?
Joe Piscopo. Rapping, that's Piscopo.
It's a live show, baby.
Joe Piscopo.
That's fresh.
Joe Piscopo. Joe Piscopo. Rapping, that's Piscopo. Joe Piscopo.
I'm Joe Piscopo.
You're exactly what I'm looking for, dickface.
Frankie, the name's Dick Steen.
Make yourself available this afternoon, dickhead.
Frankie, for you, it's his pleasure.
In Wise Guys, Danny DeVito's signature gruff, perpetually keyed-up, reactionary persona shoulders much of the burden of deadweight co-star Joe Piscopo, as he leans harder into the cartoonishly exaggerated mugging he'd resorted to in his flailing attempt to parlay his SNL run into a Hollywood career.
Order me a dozen, different colors.
Give me a chocolate Calvin.
Sure. And wipe that shit off your face when Mr. Costello comes down.
Ray makes the most of his handful of lines before getting killed off within the first 20 minutes.
Will you stop and just do like I do?
And professional wrestling's Captain Lou Albano seems more invested in his mob enforcer character than he would playing TV's Super Mario a few years later.
Remember, guns and knives aren't toys. They can hurt people or even kill them.
Move it, dickface!
That's 16!
But overall, Wise Guys' workaday acting and lowest common denominator broad comedy seem apathetically aimed towards a younger audience.
Give it to the show! You know, boom, boom, boom! 3 in the back of the head!
Yet, for reasons not entirely certain, both Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert uncharacteristically go out of their way to outright glaze on the film in their reviews.
Wise Guys is a movie with one big laugh after another.
This is really a riotous film, fabulous.
It is a good, laugh-out-loud comedy.
I don't even think that's strong enough. It's a great laugh-out-loud comedy, and I'm going to have a tough time at the end of the year deciding which film I laughed out loud the longest, Down and Out in Beverly Hills, this one, or Hannah and Her Sisters.
There are a couple of lines in this movie. Now, one that I don't want to give it. I will.
Don't. I mean, it's a screaming performance that is hilarious. This movie, I don't know how this director, Brian De Palma, did it.
So you mentioned that the guy's name is The Fixer.
He starts out at this level and keeps it funny and intense. It's just spectacular.
At one point they say, "What will Mrs. Fixer think?" And I laughed for about 4 minutes at that point. Oh, great big thumbs up, though, for Wise Guys.
The movie's screenwriter George Gallo may have offered a clue in 2003 when he disclosed that Wise Guys was
a CAA package. De Palma was a CAA client, and that was when the CAA was like the mafia.
People have never heard of CAA, and they don't know this agency.
Very few people outside of Hollywood know what CAA is, or those initials, and yet it follows us all day. I mean, they're part of our lives, probably more so than any of us realize. From Game of Thrones to Star Wars to J.J. Watt on the field. You go into a Chipotle, CAA does their marketing. I mean, you turn on the radio, Katy Perry's there, that's CAA.
Hold it, Kelly. We don't even know such a man exists.
Aside from director Brian De Palma, Danny DeVito, who appears in Johnny Dangerously, signed on to Creative Artists Agency not too long after their founding in 1975, and as of this video, continues to be represented by CAA. In addition, the director of Johnny Dangerously, Amy Heckerling, screenwriter Harry Colomby, and lead actor Michael Keaton happen to be CAA clients, as were Prizzi's Honors stars Jack Nicholson, Angelica Houston, and Robert Loggia.
Sarah Jessica Parker, we learned that she really didn't want to do Sex in the City.
Her agent, Kevin Huvane, who she's been with for a long time, basically forced her to do it, and she talks a lot about that process they had.
By the way, Matthew Broderick, her husband, didn't want to do Ferris Bueller. Cher apparently didn't want to do Moonstruck, for which she won an Academy Award, and was actually tricked into taking it.
One of the agents at CAA was so adamant about Tom Cruise and his career that, like, literally, they just pushed Tom into this movie. And, I mean, let's face it, Tom and Dustin don't exactly look like brothers.
No. Love tweeted Saturday saying, although I wasn't one of his victims, I was eternally banned by CAA for speaking out against Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein invites you to a private party in the Four Seasons downtown.
And while CAA has long been dogged by allegations of engaging in business practices that skirt the line of racketeering, the portrayal of organized crime in pictures has been tightly managed by real-world La Cosa Nostra figures going back to the 1930s and the first wave of gangster movies.
In the bad old days, mobsters used to be able to control which actors got starring roles in big films, and the mob even provided money for many movies.
Now, Georgie, I got friends out in Hollywood, and they tell me that it was your idea to make this picture.
Oh, no, Al, it wasn't my idea. It was you. It was you gave them the idea.
Yeah. But you told them how I dress, about my gray hats, how I walk, and what kind of guns I use.
Yeah, Al, I was kind of the technical advisor on the picture.
Drawing on the ostentatious wardrobes of racketeers like Lucky Luciano and Al Capone, films like Scarface and Little Caesar made mobster characters into fashion icons.
You don't like the racket I'm in, you don't like the people I know, the things I do, and it's not me, it's what I stand for, am I right? But I'm not gonna let that stand between you and me. You want the Brooklyn Bridge, you all you gotta do is ask for it. If I can't buy it, I'll steal it. Morning, gentlemen. Nice day for murder.
Say, is that my tie? When I got up this morning, I sort of, yeah. Well, why didn't you put on that new checker suit of mine while you were about it?
But no one, not even James Cagney nor Edward G. Robinson, embodied the original mafia chic more than George Raft. George had a vaguely exotic look that evoked Rudolph Valentino.
Hi.
Hello.
I know away from the pictures you got a lot of girls, George.
Well, yeah, I did pretty well that way. Glad to meet you.
I could see you making up your mind.
I heard through the grapevine that everything Errol Flynn claimed you were really doing. Is that true, George?
I wouldn't know. I never would discuss women. You know, that was something that was out of my ballpark.
That's wonderful.
I always put all the women on a pedestal.
But you went with some very beautiful women.
Yes.
Big, big stars.
Yes.
Can we name just a few of the ladies you dated?
You name them.
You ever do tough guy roles?
Yes.
Only tough dancer I can think of is George Raft.
A dancer first, he carried himself with elegance and finesse that cloaked a core toughness.
Have you ever seen a gangster die?
Yeah, I seen them die. They don't die no different from anybody else. They just die, that's all. And they don't seem to like it very much.
He'd been friends with Benjamin Bugsy Siegel since childhood and worked for years in mob-run nightclubs as an up-and-comer. George's mob associations became part of his brand after the smash success of 1932's Scarface.
Action. You're the guy, the one guy in all the world I thought I could trust.
Look, Al, you've got to give me a break. I would never double-cross you.
All right, cut.
Georgie, what?
What's the problem?
A real hood would never talk like this. Never.
Has he been a picture star? I don't mean to assume that you're a has-been. I mean, you are. Are you a picture star?
You were right the first time.
By the mid-50s, movie work had dropped off, so George was hired by Santo Traficante Jr. to host at the Casino Capri in Havana until Fidel Castro's revolution upended the mafia's interests in Cuba.
And that's 4 in a row, Mr. Raft.
I just can't get the hang of this game.
George continued to work sporadically until he died in 1980, penniless and heavily underwater in gambling debts.
I just can't get the hang of this game.
All of the Dons from Maine to California have decided to make you and the Carry-On family an offer you cannot refuse.
For heaven's sake, little bitch, let me have it.
For decades, the aesthetic of 1930s mobsters remained the template for mafia chic.
Now, Wise Guys was directed by Brian De Palma, who specializes in thrillers and crime movies, and he made Scarface.
For his 1983 remake of Scarface, Brian De Palma set out to give the gangster film a top-to-bottom overhaul. Visually, this meant swapping out pinstripes and spats for Saturday Night Fever-style disco outfits and Tommy guns for Uzis. And as the success of the film carried over into NBC's Miami Vice, both heroes and villains were now adopting a grotesquely dated early 80s Gianni Versace South Beach look. Then came Gotti.
Maybe it's because we're a nation of adventurers that we harbor this constant fascination with people who dare to break the rules. Even at Christmas, as the movie box office makes clear, the gangsters, like those in Godfather 3, are the ones packing them in. And yet, through it all, one name has retained the old romantic notoriety. The man said to be the boss of the powerful Gambino family. His name is John Gotti. Mr. Gotti's neighborhood, Queens, a kind of legend in New York, where he throws huge 4th of July parties, and his neighbors defend and cheer him on.
Gotti's the best! Gotti's the best!
John Gotti took over as capo of the Gambino family in the wake of the murder of Paul Castellano on December 16, 1985. A month later, he was indicted on federal racketeering charges, and his penchant for arriving to court dressed to the nines and flashing a confident grin to the press outside made him an instant darling of the media.
During his last trial, Gotti was asked why he refused to put on the earphones in court and listen to audio tapes being played into evidence against him.
I like Julio Iglesias.
A new era had begun, and what an era it would be. Not since Al Capone had anybody so stirred up the public appetite for a larger-than-life lawbreaker. Razor-cut hair and $2,000 suits. A kind of renegade gentleman. 3 times police have brought charges against Gotti, and 3 times he has beaten the rap.
We find him not guilty.
After winning multiple acquittals, the Dapper Don became
the Teflon Don
as his celebrity profile rose. By defying the long-standing La Cosa Nostra custom of avoiding attention, John Gotti became the new face of mafia chic. With Gotti embodying the spirit of Al Capone in the here and now, the mob got its groove back on screen.
I don't think he has anything to do with the old Godfathers. I think what he has to do with is the old movies. You know, he is a direct descendant of American movies. If there had been no George Raft, no 30s movies, no gangster movies, there'd be no John Gotti.
James Caan, who played Sonny Corleone in The Godfather, has real-life ties to New Jersey and New York wise guys. When Carmine the Snake Persico was on trial in Manhattan Federal Court in 1985, Caan showed up in court.
In walks James Caan, goes up to, I think it was Andy Russo, and then to Persico, and gives Persico a kiss. And I leaned over, not realizing there was a reporter with an earshot, and I said, I thought they killed him at the toll booth.
When Robert De Niro was getting ready to play a Meyer Lansky-like mobster in the movie Once Upon a Time in America, he asked to have Philly crime lord Nicodemo Scarfo set up a meeting with Lansky. Scarfo reportedly refused.
For Ray, Wise Guys had been a paycheck, but Wise Guy would be his comeback.
We'd also like to know how you enjoyed doing the Crime Stories series and working with Anthony Dennis in that, because you were great on there, too.
The guys that wrote Wise Guy were some of the writers on Crime Story, and that's how I met them.
Ray's heroin use was at its peak when he appeared in a minor recurring role as U.S. Attorney Harry Breitel on Crime Story.
Lieutenant Torello.
Mr. Breitel.
What can I do for you?
Sergeant Danny Krychek.
Sergeant.
You're investigating the Municipal Employees Pension Fund and its links?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Now, Wise Guy is produced by Cannell Productions. Now, for those of you who don't know who Stephen Cannell is, he's the guy at the end of the show who you see typing at the typewriter, you know, and it goes into his logo.
Right.
80s action impresario Stephen J. Cannell made a note of his potential and was eager to offer Ray an opportunity to take on something bigger once he finally cleaned himself up.
Wants to see how much we know.
You'll be a slave to that white-clouded whore till the dragon is slain. Pull down defenses, open up your heart.
A group of pop stars have banded together to sing about one of the biggest problems facing British youth: heroin. Musicians including the Thompson Twins, Frankie Goes to Hollywood, and Bonnie Tyler gathered at the Abbey Road Studios in London to create the song designed to convince teenagers that life is better without heroin.
It's a good life without drugs if people will listen to that. It's great.
It's all right by me, so why can't you see?
The single, called Live in World, is due out in late October with a double album set for release this November.
And it was stars versus fans at the Super Mario-a-thon in Beverly Hills. The battle for the biggest score in video gaming was staged to benefit the Scott Newman Foundation's fight against drug abuse.
Remember, don't be afraid to turn to your priest, your rabbi, your minister, your moms, your dads, your teachers, because drugs can kill. And if you do drugs, you go to hell.
No one lived that hell quite like Ray Sharkey.
For Sharkey, drugs and alcohol were the devil, and hell was a place Ray felt he belonged. He says his drug use was an attempt to escape his feeling of inadequacy and the pressures of success. Fast cars, fast times, and few friends were the order of the day, and cocaine had become the drug of choice.
What that tells me is we're moving fast, man. And in order to keep up, I gotta move as fast. After a couple of weeks of not sleeping, you tend to look a little sour.
Sharkey's cocaine habit had reached $500 a day. 40 pounds underweight, he checked into a hospital and began a 2-month stay that led to the answers he had been looking for.
It's real simple. You're you. I love you. All we have to do is love each other until that person can learn to love themselves. It's like a real simple message that's been around. I, Ray, was incapable of feeling any of those things.
By learning to like himself, Ray Sharkey left his drug problems behind. In Hollywood, he's called the comeback kid, and he's using his celebrity status to get his anti-drug message across.
It's deeper than just, okay, this is a marijuana joint, you know, and that black man over there with the fedora, he's a dealer, you know. That's not what education is. Education is about This is you. You're a beautiful person. I love you. You know, this is your mom and dad. They may or may not be what you see on television as mommy or daddy, but they're your mommy and daddy. And we're all put here to be together and to share and love each other. And the rest is all about school, buses, football games, da-da-da-da. You know.
As the story goes, Ray hit his rock bottom while staying with his mom in Brooklyn in late 1986. The Idolmaker was airing on a Sunday night, and the sight of himself on television in his prime, alongside the emaciated wreck in the mirror, was his moment of clarity. He entered into a 2-month treatment program and for years would balance his career turnaround with devoting time and effort to peer support and public awareness.
There was a point in my life where things were not going well at all. You know, a little over 5 years ago, I was in my mother's house in Brooklyn, and I was in, you know, this room that she had for me. It was like a shrine, you know. And there was all these pictures, and there was my Golden Globe Awards and nomination plaques and all of that. And I was not in very good shape, to say the least. I was sick. I was withdrawing from narcotics and all of that. And this is the truth. It was a Sunday night, and that night, the Idolmaker came on television. All of a sudden, I would glimpse at the television, and that guy was, I didn't know who that guy was. I knew it was me, but I didn't know who he was. But I kept hearing things that he was saying, you know, just do it. These were like positive affirmations. I mean, I'm not saying like that's what happened. It was like the spiritual awakening. But it was very strange how it came back to help me in my life. I have a lot to thank him for.
Now, the problem I ran into here came trying to pin down the exact timing of events. Reporting in the years to follow would usually be vague and somewhat inconsistent. For instance, a United Media column from October 1987 claims he was 2 years clean at the time, which is categorically false. On August 19, 1986, Ray was arrested at the Los Angeles International Airport on charges of narcotics possession, receiving stolen property, and driving a vehicle without consent. In 1989, he told Us Weekly he'd done 2 months of hospitalization in mid-1987. Later, in 1991, Ray would cite a sobriety date of January 9th, 1987. But as we would come to learn, his account by then was unreliable at best.
A little over 5 years ago, I was in my mother's house in Brooklyn.
On January 16, 1987, he was arrested in Calabasas for petty theft and disturbing the peace. Meanwhile, production on Wise Guy's Sunny Steelgrave arc began in February 1987. And Ray would later comment on the shock of going directly from an 80s-style inpatient drug treatment program to staying in a 4-star hotel while shooting his parts in Vancouver. But what throws everything into question for me is the detailed anecdote he frequently included in testimony about seeing himself on TV. According to listings, the Idolmaker was aired a number of times on television in New York City in 1986, twice specifically on a Sunday night, January 31st and October 5th. It did not air at all in the month of January 1987. So for the sake of reconciliation, we can interpret Ray as seeing himself playing Vinnie Vaccaro on October 5th, 1986, as perhaps the seed that, over the next few months, helped push him to enter into treatment on or around January 9th, 1987, where he went through a week of detox at Betty Ford in Rancho Mirage, got arrested in nearby Calabasas for petty theft and unruly behavior on the 16th, probably his first time out on pass. It happens, and discharged to begin filming Wise Guy about a month later.
Eventually, when I became successful, you know, and made a lot of money, I thought, well, this is what I'll do. I'll just do this, and it won't hurt me because, you know, I'm rich and successful, and I'm living in Hollywood. And boy, was I in for a shock. You know, little did I know, after a few years, I was on my derriere, and went and got some help, and haven't had anything stronger than a Tylenol in a couple of years.
Very good.
With a show like Wise Guy, it's not macho police drama. It's very difficult for Vinnie Terranova to live the lie that he's living. He's on the inside, but that's what makes it exciting.
Are you ready for a new breed of cop? Are you ready for Wise Guy?
Wise Guy deviated considerably from the standard practice among crime dramas of having self-contained episodes. As with Crime Story, Wise Guy was serialized more like a primetime soap opera, where storylines play out across multiple episodes instead of within a single one. But while Crime Story followed one ongoing plotline for its 2 seasons, Wise Guy was centered around an FBI deep cover operative, played by Ken Wall, whose storylines played out in 10-episode arcs, each having him infiltrating a different criminal enterprise. The first story arc to follow the series pilot aired from September 16th to November 12th, 1987. As mob kingpin Sonny Steelgrave, Ray quickly became a fan favorite.
Critics say Sharkey has the ability to make unsavory characters likable.
Is because I find all the things about these characters that everybody feels, that I, Ray, feel. You know, it's how you look at a woman. You look at her the way every guy looks at her. You know, it's how you take the money out of your pocket. You know, it's how you spend your money. It's how you look at a little kid. It's how you befriend someone. It's a universal theme.
They received, as I understand it, more mail about that than anything they'd ever done, any previous character who had left the show. What do you think made that character so compelling to the viewers?
Aside from the fact that he was Republican? I think that the way he lived his life, you know, vicariously, he enjoyed himself. He had a good time, and his values were definitely American, and he had a good time. He had fun being bad, you know, and I think we like to watch people having fun being bad.
At the end of his arc, he capitalized on viewers' disappointment by promoting a letter-writing campaign to have CBS bring the character back to the show.
And for those people who want to make sure that Wise Guy gets back on the air, who do they write?
They write to Kim LeMasters at CBS. He's the president, and the address of CBS is on the screen somewhere.
That sounds like Television City in Hollywood. That's
actually, it is. It's TV City.
Hello. I wanted to say that I've never before written to any television series or a star or anything, but I'm definitely going to write in on this one because I enjoyed Ray very much. Ray?
Hi.
Hi. Do you know Eddie Rospagliaro?
I sure do.
This is his mom.
Hey!
I have a man crush on you.
That's great. Hi, Mom.
Hi. I told Eddie, I says, you have to bring Ray here. I'll make him a spaghetti dinner.
Oh, if I'd have known you were here last night, I'd have went over your house for dinner.
Oh.
Now, who is this?
Eddie Rospagliaro is a young, up-and-coming actor, good kid. He was a prize fighter. He was in Wise Guy. It was his first job, and he was nervous, and he was playing a prize fighter who got killed.
Hey, Jim, how you doing?
Danny! Stay away from Danny's funeral. You run our life.
You gotta help me find the guys who killed my cousin.
We'll take care of those tapeworms.
But just as he is beginning to get back on his feet, 1987 would mark the beginning of the end for Ray after a short bout of flu-like illness revealed a diagnosis of HIV.
The human immunodeficiency virus is not, in the strictest sense, a form of life. Until it is inside a host body, it is no more alive than a rock or a stone. It is a protein-coated mass of genetic instructions. Cell by cell, the virus destroys its carrier's immune system. The person becomes ill from a series of infections that are progressively serious and rare, and finally fatal.
At a time when misinformation and disinformation saturated public discourse,
a mystery disease known as the gay plague has become an epidemic unprecedented in the history of American medicine.
The human immunodeficiency virus itself, and the cluster of complications caused by the virus's weakening of the immune system, referred to as acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, or AIDS, were frequently used interchangeably and with little distinction. The only clear message in the media was that AIDS was incurable and fatal. When Rock Hudson died from the disease in 1985, the real story became his posthumous outing as gay.
Critics complain Hollywood is not supportive in hiring gay actors and actors with AIDS. Dick Sargent is thankful he's healthy.
I would never, ever, ever have a chance of working, I don't think. You know, insurance and things like that would just be impossible for people to take on in this business.
AIDS has hit the Hollywood community very hard, but there is an irony in the relationship of Hollywood and AIDS. This is a town that sells make-believe, and yet a lot of actors in this town say they have to live a life of make-believe and cover up the fact that they are HIV positive. If they didn't do that, they say, they would never be able to get work.
Fearful that the stigma around AIDS would destroy any hope of reviving his career, Ray and his longtime manager, Herb Nanas, agreed to keep his diagnosis a secret. In the meantime, fearful that his status might get in the way of his serial womanizing, Ray managed to convince himself he'd acquired a unique strain of HIV that was somehow not transmissible to others through sexual contact. A lie that served double duty as justification for lying about his status when asked.
Are there a lot of people in this situation who are HIV positive, actors who are fearful that they won't get work and therefore keep their infection a secret?
Oh, absolutely. AIDS phobia is alive and well and thriving in Hollywood today.
The country may be homophobic, and therefore producers are afraid to risk it.
I mean, Rock Hudson was able to continue to work until he was at his death's door. And if he had been HIV positive and disclosed that, he would not have been hired.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to ask more about your personal life, such as, are you married?
No, I'm single.
Are you interested?
Well, if my husband isn't watching.
Little details like that.
It's hard to be married in Hollywood. It really is.
Yeah.
The people that have been married for a long time, God bless them.
Meanwhile, Ray married wife number 2, Carol Graham, on October 8th, 1988. 5.5 months later, on March 25th, 1989, the couple gave birth to a daughter, Cecilia, who Ray nicknamed Lily.
Sharkey says his wife, model actress Carol Graham, and his infant daughter Cecilia are the main reasons he can now stay clean.
Are you planning on doing any movies since you're not in the series anymore?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, when I left the series, I did a movie with Gary Busey. It's like a modern-day pirate movie. It'll be out in the summer.
The closer he gets to the truth.
After a minor role in the poorly received Richard Gere, Kim Basinger neo-noir thriller No Mercy, Ray's next film was 1987's P.I. Private Investigations. First-time featured director Nigel Dick's forte was in music videos. He helped put Guns N' Roses on the map, producing MTV-friendly videos for Welcome to the Jungle, Sweet Child of Mine, and Paradise City. P.I. Private Investigations released first in the UK, where a write-up in The Independent concluded,
"His chief function is to try an unremarkable compilation soundtrack."
When it saw a limited theatrical run in the US, one reviewer shrugged,
"Fast cars and bullets can only dilute the mud so much."
Next up for Ray was Scenes from the Class Struggle in Beverly Hills, an ensemble comedy with a self-explanatory title. Ray plays a chauffeur who rigs a wager with a houseboy in order to coerce him into sex, all, of course, played for laughs.
Hey, you live long enough, you're bound to do some weird shit.
Roger Ebert unfavorably compared the movie to 1986's Down and Out in Beverly Hills, which he felt was
a funnier movie about the same terrain.
Actor Ray Sharkey may not yet be a household word, but you might recognize the face. When he played the mesmerizing mobster Sonny Steelgrave on 10 episodes of Wise Guy, one Hollywood director said he was so good in the role that you were sad when the bad guy got killed.
Today, more than 2 years later, Sharkey is clean and sober, and his career is back on track. In what could be called an ironic twist of fate, he was cast to play a role in the film Wired.
And in 2 weeks, I'm going back to Hollywood to film Wired, the book about John Belushi. We're making a movie out of it.
Yeah.
And I think that movie is a very important movie. It's the best anti-drug movie to come out of Hollywood in years.
You know the expression, you're wired for sound, you know, and your nervous system is like this. I think that's kind of what John Belushi's insides were like. This. He was always like this.
When the news came out that Wired, the short life and tragic death of John Belushi, was getting a movie adaptation, Belushi's agency, CAA, fought tooth and nail to block it.
The most powerful talent agent and agency in town, that's Mike Ovitz and Creative Artists Agency, and his clients, including Jim Belushi and Dan Aykroyd and other Belushi friends, didn't want the film made.
You know, and he's already dead, so there's no contracts they're going to make. There's no deals. He just wants him to see.
Michael Ovitz of CAA represented Belushi and still represents his brother James, as well as Aykroyd and Murray.
If they don't want a project made, they can threaten to withhold their talent on future projects or on that project. I mean, they have a lot of influence, especially in a town that is so wedded to brand names, that is very, very fixated on having big names that will open the picture the first weekend.
The extensive retooling to the screenplay under the threat of litigation resulted in an even more bastardized version of John Belushi's story.
The difference for me in the film, in the book, is clearly imagination. There's a lot of imagination put into what we're doing.
You know, I was hoping one thing would happen, that we would not glamorize John for his drug use, and that we wouldn't call him a loser either.
Uh-huh. Tootski?
Oh, it's my main habit. I snort daily.
Uh-huh. Anything else I should know about? Anything I shouldn't know about?
I think a lot of people, when John died, immediately passed judgment on him. I know I did when I was in college. I thought, you ass.
You can't despise somebody who's an addict.
I want some coke.
Found some things likable and some things unlikable about him.
I really can't help but think that if John saw this movie, he would like it, because it's his kind of comedy. I mean, it's his kind of humor.
It's me and Danny Aykroyd, live from Saturday night!
I can't believe it, Bob Woodward. I used to do that guy.
Now he's doing you.
What do you mean?
He's gonna be your biographer.
My biographer? Bob Woodward? I'll go down in history!
Yeah! He's gonna do for you what he did for Nixon.
Nixon?
Gonna call the book Wired. Gonna trash your good name, Hemo, from here to...
I'm fucked.
It deals with the reality of drug abuse.
It shows John Belushi doing a lot of drugs. It doesn't show other people in Hollywood at all doing drugs.
It starts out in the morgue with John on the slab getting up and going around town with a Puerto Rican taxi driver.
And the cab driver is an angel sent from heaven who overdosed 8 years ago and who really is John's alter ego.
Wired, the movie, became a surreal patchwork of based on a true story, tabloid sensationalism, mixed in with a subplot involving the ghost of John Belushi, semi-reflecting on his life while hopping through time and space in a taxi with his guardian angel.
Oddly enough, you're his guardian angel. Kind of a strange role reversal there, isn't it?
Yes, poetic justice. I am John Belushi's guardian angel. And Frank Velasquez is his name. The part was written for a Spanish actor, someone who was Spanish.
We're going for a ride, Hemo. You and me. Through your life.
And I went in and auditioned like a regular working class actor and did the whole accent and everything. And
why?
Because you got time on the meter, mano.
And so he took that angle as opposed to the physical Latino angle. He said, you got the part. Okay, all right. I like the part because when I come around, time shifts, moods change, things happen, magic, spirits.
The addition of a guardian angel character makes the least sense out of everything, given the outcome of the story.
I mean, that's what I do. I go and carry the message about drug abuse to people all over the country.
Nonetheless, while the film's star Michael Chiklis and others who'd worked on it suffered professionally for their association, Ray was able to move on relatively unscathed.
So a Hollywood ending, right?
Yeah, very Hollywood ending, and a Hollywood version of Hollywood.
He was Chicago's kingpin of crime.
I'm Al Capone.
Until the Untouchables put him in jail.
I gave Ness some headlines, that's all.
Now,
For his return to made-for-TV movies, Ray got the chance to step into the spats of the ultimate OG, Alphonse Gabriel Capone. While its title is a clear nod to Capone, 1932's Scarface was, like the 1930 pulp novel by Armitage Trail, and inspired by a true story dramatization about Italian immigrant Tony Camonte, played by Paul Muni, as he rises through the ranks of the mafia while repressing his incestuous lust.
What do you mean, catch me? I wasn't doing nothing.
You was kissing him.
Sure, what of it?
Well, I don't like it.
The 1983 remake separates itself even further from its Capone association by making Al Pacino's Scarface a Cuban refugee named Tony Montana, who rises through the ranks of Miami cocaine trafficking while repressing his incestuous lust.
Fuck me, Tony. Come on, and just fuck me.
Oh, George. One other thing. The next time, you play me. Okay?
Okay, Al.
The first to portray Al Capone by name in film was Rod Steiger in Warner Bros. 1959 biopic. Steiger was well regarded among the crop of method actors that were all the rage in the 50s, but mopey, brooding introspection glaringly mismatches the larger-than-life crime saga of Al Capone.
Al who?
That's me, Al Capone.
Al Capone?
Yeah, that's my name. Mr. Torrey and I, we were good friends of your husband's, Pete, and he sent me over here, said maybe we could help, you know.
You're the one that killed my husband?
Oh, no. It have nothing to do with it. Let me explain. When you kill a guy, huh? Number one, you should have a reason to kill him, right? Number two, I had no reason to kill Pete because Pete was a friend of mine. He never did anything to me.
You think that flowers are gonna bring my baby back, her father?
Wait a minute now. Listen, don't you slap me around.
You pay me off for a husband, huh? How much do you think one's worth? How much? Haven't they set the price on that yet? Huh, Mr. Capone? How much? How much? How much?
Well, all the trouble, Al. Forget about it, Al. Fucking Ranger's showing off, Al.
Jason Robards took on the role in 1967 for the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, as did Ben Gazzara in 1975's Capone.
I run this outfit. Me, Al Capone.
Robert De Niro took a swing at portraying Alphonse in the 1987 Kevin Costner-Sean Connery reboot of The Untouchables.
You got a nerve calling yourself a Capone. You're not one of us. You understand that?
Enough, Al. And Neville Brand as Scarface Al Capone.
Incidentally, Neville Brand played Al Capone on the original 1959 TV series and again in 1961 for the George Raft story. According to the cover for the VHS release, The Revenge of Al Capone was inspired by a true story that picks up where The Untouchables left off. But as opposed to De Niro simply passing the baton, Ray undeniably makes the role his own.
There's nothing I can't do. I'm Al Capone.
I'm a victim of a bum rap.
You quote me on it.
Public service is my motto.
Your appeal's been denied.
Keith Carradine plays to the back of the house as fictional G-Man Michael Rourke, his most noteworthy contribution being a softcore sex scene that gets gratuitously drawn out for the better part of 2 minutes.
Why do you hate him so much?
He killed my parents.
What? I'm really sorry.
Round 2, 1.
Featuring partial nudity on primetime network television was a bold decision for NBC when they aired The Revenge of Al Capone on February 26, 1989.
And he's been cast in an upcoming Showtime movie called Neon Empire.
I'm gonna build a palace. Right here in the desert. I'll make it a place where anything goes, where everything I've ever done in my whole life that was illegal is now legal. Respectable. I'm gonna build ours.
Later that year, Ray was cast as another mafioso icon in the Showtime original Neon Empire, a two-part miniseries set in the early days of Las Vegas.
I mean, if you don't expand on the gambling, you die. Is this a threat? Talking economics here. I'm a businessman, Frank. Yeah, and I'm the king of England.
On January 31st, 1990, Ray was back in court, but this time in a show of support for John Gotti, who was on trial for assaulting a union official. Afterwards, they were photographed leaving Giamboni's after lunch. Ray told the AP he'd known Gotti since childhood. Gotti told reporters Ray was
a good friend of mine. What do you think, Bruce Cutler is my only friend?
People love him. They stop me on every street corner to wish him luck. You wouldn't believe it.
Gotti's attorney, Bruce Cutler, remarked,
"We could fill this courtroom with Hollywood types every day, but I don't think that would be proper."
Ray's publicist claimed he was
researching a movie that deals with the mafia.
The same line Tony LoBianco used after paying his tribute to Gotti.
Gotti's the best! 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 Gotti's the best!
Ray continued with the USA Network original The Take, playing Dennis Delaney, a cop sentenced to prison on corruption charges.
Welcome home. You want a beer or something to drink?
After his release, Delaney hopes to go straight, but instead finds himself caught up in the Miami drug trade.
Where on earth have you been? I've called everybody. Dennis, where have you been? I've been up all night. I was so worried about you.
Sorry, baby. I'm sorry.
Why didn't you call me?
Very pretty. I got hung up with the boys. They kidnapped me and we got drunk and I just couldn't get any money. Where are the aspirins?
The Take aired March 28, 1990, and featured Hollyweird Babylon alumnus Lisa Hartman, who, as it happened, would turn up the following year in The Return of Elliot Ness.
I know how to handle men. I'll take care of Ness.
Robert Stack is back in his legendary role with Lisa Hartman and Charles Durning.
I got a job to do. I'm gonna finish it.
Next Sunday, The Return of Elliot Ness on NBC.
Kind of sad when you think about it, wasn't it? One day the guy's on top of everything, and the next day's a has-been. Hanging out at the highlight gambling. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that the way it sounded. Jesus.
But right now things are going your way. You have a new TV series coming out
The Man
on
in
ABC.
the Family. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's a half-hour comedy, you know, and it really came at a point in my life where I needed to be funny.
Wednesday.
I'll take care of the family.
A flashy guy from Vegas vows to fill his old man's shoes.
I need your blessing.
Ray Sharkey is...
No.
The Man in the Family.
In 1991, Ray starred in a sitcom for ABC that had been years in the making and wound up canceled before it even premiered. What ended up as The Man in the Family began its life in early 1989 as Timothy's File.
Sharkey has been signed to star in a television series called Timothy's File, which will air sometime this fall on ABC.
Based on author Lawrence Sanders' Wall Street PI Timothy Cohn, Sharkey told the AP,
My concept is to make a 47-minute movie every week. It lends itself to simple plots with a style like a movie. I'm calling on all my director friends to come to New York.
In November, it was confirmed ABC had ordered a 2-hour TV movie and 12 episodes. After a year passed and no shooting script available in time for the 1990-91 season, ABC passed Ray on to the comedy department, who went to work putting together The Ray Sharkey Show as a mid-season replacement. When the pilot was taped in January 1991, the title had changed to When You're Smiling.
When you're smiling, when you're smiling, when you're smiling, when you're smiling.
3 weeks later, when production wrapped on the first batch of episodes, the show is now called The Favorite Son. After finding itself lost in the mid-season shuffle, Man in the Family's 7 finished episodes were burned off by ABC in the summer of 1991, leaving Ray forced to promote a show whose days were already numbered.
It's a real change for you, though, isn't it? A comedy weekly series.
It is the greatest thrill. It's like doing a play every week, and you have a different audience, and they come in and they let you know. That's the difference between comedy and drama, is that you know immediately. You get some satisfaction from hearing the laughs.
So, Bob, what can I do for you? I see. Yes, that is a very attractive offer. $5,000 a week. My own car, a suite at the hotel, and expense account. Oh, Bob, you're too kind. Then you'll want me in Atlantic City tomorrow.
Sal, the phone's not working.
What?
That's why nobody could get through to us for the last 2 days. Here's the notice from the phone company.
I tried to tell you.
Bob, I'll call you back, okay?
Yeah, what? Don't shoot. Oh. Don't shoot, please. Shut up. Not a word, you little prick. Where's the money? Oh. Fucking A.
As Ray continued taking on low-rent work, the studios remained leery. Ray continued to tout his recovery from addiction in interviews, but it would later come to be revealed he'd already relapsed on heroin by this stage.
There's nothing accidental about a drunk driving crash. It happens when people choose to drive when they've been drinking. Plan ahead. Choose a designated driver.
It's a double-edged sword, Katie. I think sometimes personalities, when they go on television or they go, you know, on a public podium, so to speak, and say, you know, I went to Betty Ford and, you know, I did that and I'm okay now. There's a double-edged sword to that message because the kid who's sitting there watching television says, well, hey, I'm just going to continue doing what I'm doing because he got back from the other side. You know, he made it. And look, he did it. I could do that. The solution is not in listening to my story and, ooh, gee, look what I went through and came out through the other side unscathed.
Yeah, if anything, it could have the opposite effect, as you said.
It does have the opposite effect most of the time.
Okay, the thing with the AIDS shirt, okay, like let's just, you know, okay, I'm going to give my statement right here. It's an exclusive. Here it is. The shirt that I was wearing, as you might know, says AIDS. It's like the...
Raid logo.
It's the Raid, you know, Raid. This is pretty harsh. It's the Raid logo on a t-shirt, right? Only instead, and you know on the Raid logo it says kills bugs dead underneath it. Well, this says AIDS kills fags dead. And I said, what's wrong with killing little bundles of wood? No, anyway, nobody gets it, my jokes. But let me just state this. Here's my statement. I do not know, condone, comprehend, or understand homosexuality in any way, shape, form, or whatever. Size. But my grandma died of cancer, and if some moron went around wearing a t-shirt that said cancer kills grandma's dead under it, I'd be offended. But I'd also think it was kind of a funny shirt, but I would be offended. So there's my statement. Thank you.
You want to be my new assistant?
What about me?
Hit the showers, Luke.
What?
You're fired.
So, what do I do first?
And while settling down with a wife and family made for good press, Ray made little effort to curb his appetite for extramarital promiscuity. One of his AA friends described Ray to the National Enquirer as
the Johnny Appleseed of AIDS.
His manager, Herb Nanis, made a conservative estimate of at least 100 partners Ray had been with post-diagnosis.
They wanted something, he wanted something.
Your wife was a former user?
Shark sightings.
According to one unnamed source, these women included
Hollywood groupies, young starlets hopping into bed with him, hoping he could further their careers, and women who attended Alcoholics Anonymous meetings with him in Beverly Hills.
Hey, where do you see this? Get a grip. Lucille, what a vision. Say hello to Dad.
Hi. How you doing? You a cop, huh?
Sort of.
Hey, Julie, you want to join us?
Oh, I can't. I've got a class.
One of these women was 25-year-old Elena Monica, who first met Ray at a party in February 1991. Elena was a model who'd done some limited acting work.
Whatever you say.
Bye, Mrs. Atkins.
Hey, Julie!
Hi, Mrs. Atkins. Kathy, call me Julie, please. Where are you two off to?
Library.
Not much fun, huh?
Well, I don't know. It depends on which floor of the library you go to. You know what I mean? Come on.
And her father, Corbett Monica, was a well-known stand-up comic.
Oh, my wife went out and she bought a pair of Texas tight pants.
How'd she look? Little wider on El Paso.
According to Elena, the two used condoms at first, but Ray misled her to believe he had recently tested negative. About 5 months into their 7-month relationship, Elena became seriously ill and was hospitalized at UCLA Medical Center, where she was found to be positive for HIV. Elena maintained she'd been tested prior and that by process of elimination, Ray had to be the one who gave it to her. Ray denied it outright, but by September, his wife Carol had separated from him and Elena broke things off soon after. In April 1992, Ray was served with divorce papers, just as filming had begun on what would become his last motion picture. Cop and a Half was originally intended to star Kurt Russell and Macaulay Culkin, but after both dropped out, it became a vehicle to introduce 8-year-old Norman D. Golden II.
Well, you can't hardly see his muzzles, but Bert's kind of like, well, I shouldn't say an old cop, but I don't know how old he is, probably 30-something.
And action!
Any struggles Ray may have endured during production were overshadowed by Burt Reynolds' opiate-fueled histrionics on set and bickering with director Henry Winkler.
I love kids, and I get along great with them. I work great with them.
Norman opened his mouth in front of Burt. Burt turned to us and said, "Start the camera."
When it came out in April 1993, Cop and a Half brought in $40.7 million on its $14 million budget, and Burt Reynolds won the Golden Raspberry Award for Worst Actor. Norman D. Golden II was nominated for Worst New Star, but lost out to Janet Jackson in Poetic Justice.
We gotta stop this right now. You don't know shit about me, okay?
In the Line of Duty, Street War was the fourth entry in a series of ripped-from-the-headlines NBC TV movies that starred Ray as Detective Victor Tomasino, along with Peter Boyle and Mario Van Peebles. It was slated to air May 7th, 1992, but when riots broke out across LA in response to the acquittal of the officers involved in the Rodney King beating, it was preempted for fear of depicting violence on television. Entertainment Tonight caught up with Ray for comment, and this brief interview would become one of his last available on-camera appearances.
LA's urban war has made a huge impact on the entertainment industry. The first major casualty is the NBC primetime movie In the Line of Duty, Street War. This movie, starring Ray Sharkey and Mario Van Peebles, is about cops dealing with street violence. Because it's similar to what happened in Los Angeles, the network has pulled it from Monday's schedule.
I think it's right to not show it, in case there is a problem.
But Sharkey says the network is hypocritical.
Considering what I saw when I turned on CNN, if somebody says to me that my show is violent, it's like, did you see what was, did I miss something? Did you see what was on? Did you see what my children saw?
You boys shouldn't fight. You gotta be different, like these 4 cops. They were known as the Hat Squad, and they wore hats and dusters as a symbol of that difference, and no criminal would mess with them. As orphans, you boys know what it is to be victims, and they protected people like you. So maybe someday you could be like them.
After shooting Wrapped on Cop and a Half that June, Ray went to work on another Stephen J. Cannell crime drama called The Hat Squad. But on July 23rd, news broke that Elena Monica had sued Ray for $52 million for intentionally transmitting HIV to her. Ray reportedly bought a copy of that week's National Enquirer, read the headline, and sighed,
"Well, I guess I won't be getting laid anymore."
Then on July 31st, Ray was arrested in Vancouver while shooting his parts for the Hat Squad. RCMP seized a package of heroin addressed to him at the airport, as well as a briefcase containing heroin and cocaine in his hotel room. Ray was fired from the Hat Squad and replaced by Canadian actor Kim Coates. In response, Herb Nanis admitted that Ray does in fact have HIV, adding,
"This is not a story I relish. It's a sad turn of events. He's been my friend for 18 years. I wish his life was more peaceful than it's been."
Gary Busey had last worked with Ray in December 1991 while filming the straight-to-video motorcycle commando buddy action spectacular Chrome Soldiers. Busey told People,
"I do know he's been working hard at keeping a straight line. Ray was concerned with his performance. He was working out. He was being very nutrition-minded. One thing I did notice, he was very much within himself."
The same article in People also reported Ray and Carol had reconciled. However, on October 20th, Carol told Starr through a friend that they had not been intimate since separating over a year ago, stating,
Just because I'm trying to be helpful toward him during his final days doesn't mean we're sleeping together.
In discussing their financial troubles, Carol remarked,
Ray was a very generous man. In fact, he was too generous. If he made $100,000 on a movie, he'd spend $80,000 of it on his friends. A lot of those so-called pals are nowhere to be found now.
In April 1993, the National Enquirer published Ray's supposed deathbed confession, once again as told to a friend, of course. The article included a photo of Ray taken January 24th, shortly before he was hospitalized at Century City Hospital for a stroke brought on by brain lesions. In his final interview, Ray maintained his belief that he had a non-communicable strain of HIV, stating,
"This disease is funny. One day you're negative and the next day you're positive, and people suffer. I don't think Elaine and Monica suffered from me."
On the matter of drugs, Ray added,
"You ever do a speedball? If you did, you'd know why. If you're a person who tends to get depressed easy and moves in fast circles, you want to slow your brain down. Before you know it, you're hooked."
Around this time, Elaine and Monica visited Ray at his home in Palm Springs. By this stage, he was down to 98 pounds, surrounded by 17 bottles of pills and on IV morphine. His mother was caring for him full-time, along with an in-home nurse who was really just another former lover he'd exposed who felt sorry for him. Elena had hoped for some kind of closure in the form of an admission or an apology. Instead, she later stated,
He was so in denial. How could he think he could infect someone else? By going there, I got something better than an apology. I knew his infecting me wasn't malicious or intentional.
On Memorial Day, May 31st, Ray met with Carol and his daughter at a hotel for the final time. Ray was reportedly so frail he needed to be carried to say goodbye to 4-year-old Lily. The next day, he was flown back to Brooklyn to live out his final days. While waiting at LAX, a paparazzo managed to grab the last photo of him alive. On June 11th, Ray died at age 40 from complications due to AIDS. At his wake 5 days later, Ray was dressed in a black leather jacket and boots as 2 motorcycles led the funeral procession for a farewell tour around the neighborhood on his way to burial at the family plot in Long Island.
Ray's dead, and I don't give a shit about the issue anymore. Ray had sex with a lot of women, and 99% of them are fine.
Herb Nanis, June 21st, 1993. Elena Monica used the publicity from her lawsuit to begin campaigning for HIV/AIDS awareness and advocacy. At the time, AZT was the only FDA-approved treatment available and carried the risk of serious side effects. Elena instead opted for an unproven pure oxygen therapy regimen while pushing for more studies into the efficacy of alternative medicines in managing HIV. After relocating to Miami, Elena gave lectures at schools and community organizations, promoting education on the disease as well as safe sex practices into the 2000s.
I had done the research and I had seen some really good things about their company. And I can't tell you how happy I am with the results.
She became a licensed realtor in 2000 and as of this writing is still living in the Miami area, married and the mother of 4 children. In 2024, she graduated with a master's degree in addiction and consciousness studies through Saybrook University. On September 15th, 2015, 50-year-old Patricia Mitropoulos was murdered at her home in Reseda. According to police, Ray's daughter, Lily, now 26, was dating Patricia's son, and the two had been involved in a dispute. Lily had reportedly been lying in wait outside for a period of time before bludgeoning Patricia to death with a baseball bat. At trial, Cecilia Sharkey pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity, and as of this writing, remains confined at Patton State Hospital near San Bernardino.
The city needs me.
You're not a cop!
Why'd you make me hall monitor?
You made that sash yourself!
Why do you look like you just rolled out of a low-budget buddy cop movie?
Do you normally take valuable evidence out for breakfast?
In 2017, an indirect sequel to Cop and a Half, New Recruit, starring Lou Diamond Phillips and Lulu Wilson, was released direct to DVD.
Just an average day?
Right.
In January 2025, a trailer for a South African remake with a distinctly grittier tone was released.
This entire thing is a stuff-up because you can't play nicely with other kids. Homicide in Rosettenville looks drug-related. Get your shit together, John. You follow the address. I'll see what else we can find out about the body. Not so fast. You're not doing this alone.
Oh, fuck no!
You guys know each other?
Did you get suspended?
Nope. Worse. They gave me a 15-year-old.
What the fuck? Bing, 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 bing! We have a winner!
When she dresses in bright.
In 2011, Deadline reported that MGM had acquired the rights to The Idolmaker and that Ryan Gosling was in talks to star in as well as direct a remake. In March 2025, Amazon MGM announced plans to move forward with an Idolmaker reboot, with Sam Wrench, fresh off working on Taylor Swift's Eras Tour, to direct.
Do you wish to plead guilty to a criminal sexual contact today?
Yeah. Am I pleading guilty?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
I am?
No.
Okay. I am.
No. Nope, that's not how it works.
You agree, do you not? You do agree that you inappropriately touched the buttocks of an adult female over her clothing. Is that correct?
Yes.
So this was not an accidental touching. You purposely touched her. Is that correct, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, and you did it for your own self-gratification. Is that correct, sir?
Yes.
In the interest of justice, I am sentencing this defendant to 2 years probation. Do you want to say anything, sir?
God has always been there to cradle me.
Horse race, yeah, a little tipple there. Companionship. My offense. My llamaron. My offense. We've been to furnish you with these amusements. Does that make me any worse than the banker who sells the family farm or the stockbroker who sells worthless speculation? Fellas! You'll see, guys. When the final tally is told, I have done more good than bad.
Thanks for watching.